I did some work off camera, and I think I have it working pretty well. This is me in the VR headset, and I can grab and move these objects. Let me just demonstrate that really quick. Let me start up my Quest. Okay, these are my two hands. Let me just refresh browser. There I am. So if I come toward this guy, you can see raising my right hand, raising my left hand, extending both arms, and this is my head. I'm seated in a couch right now. So now I'm going to teleport over here, and also let's actually refresh this as well. So now I'm behind the object, and I'm going to grab this capsule with a little far, with my right hand, and I'm going to turn it horizontally. In fact, I'm going to teleport and place it right like so, releasing it. And there was another capsule right in its spot, and I'll grab this with my other hand. So now it's in my left hand. I'm going to turn it like so and hold it like a sword in this hand. So I can hack like this and teleport over here, and I'm going to place it right at the end, perpendicularly like that. Okay. So that's a demonstration of grab and set. And now I'll take off the headset, and we can look at some of the code changes. Let's look over here. Let's do git diff. I remove some console logs, so never mind that. The first thing you'll see is I wanted smoother animation for the member movement, so put back the animate component. For the grabbing, what I realized is that locally we just want to set the grab thing to the hand, and that works fine. We can ignore all the position because we're faster than getting that position. So we're getting it frame by frame. So by the time we get the position, even if we're sending it to ourselves, is not necessary, and it will be just a little bit outdated because we're continuously moving. But for everybody else, we're going to use that as the latest position. But it's important that we unset the parent because the position and rotations are absolute position and rotation. And so if it's already parented to something, setting that position rotation will be interpreted as a local position rotation, and that kind of screw things up. So we unset this parent, then we set each component, and then we set the parenting. What else? Then for the released, it's a similar thing. Locally, we can just release it, but for everybody else, unset the parent and then set the ending position. Let's see, for the scene manager, this was for the hand mesh. So if the mesh didn't exist, we use this to create it. Otherwise, it exists, we animate the component. We also need to add, so if the person leaves, we need to delete their hands. So let's make that as a to-do. if person leaves, remove their hands. Alright, what else? Then we made the interactable things a little bit transparent just because I was testing my absolute position. I was drawing something where my hand controllers were, so I just made it easier to see. That's not necessary. We can undo this later. So I was just doing some debugging output. Yes, so now I pass into the XR Grip Manager a physics imposter, which we can get from the physics feature, which we're not using yet, but we'll get to that. So we want to be able to add the, let's add, so send correctly, so we need to send it. Send angular velocity and linear velocity of controllers if the item grabbed is throwable. We'll do that as a to-do. And what else? Creating the event payload. Now we get the absolute position. It's just so there's no mistake. I think it was doing this. Actually, I'm not totally sure because the palm mesh is actually parented to the grip. So these might never have been absolute positions. What else? And here I did a little test to just when I'm gripping something, create a box so I can see that test that the absolute positions are correct. So we can remove this test here. And here's the feature for the physics controller where I assign this to controller's physics. And then the other thing I changed was the reporting of the hand positions, where before I was using the pointer and now I'm using the grip orientation. Let's see, what else? Removing some console log. And yes, the new XR Grip Manager, I'm passing in a usage of this feature to get imposter for controller, passing in the input source, and that will give you an imposter. So now, let's just turn the server off. Let's fix this thing. If a person leaves, remove their hands. That's fine because we know what the hand is called. Whoops. So we'll go to Scene, Manager, and we have something for create avatar, I believe. Find or create avatar is here. And do we have something when the avatar leaves? So member left is remove avatar. And so we'll add a method for remove the hands. So let's first find the member moved, find or create avatar, and then we have find or create avatar hand. Let's jump over here, and let's create a method for remove avatar hand. Sure, so we'll give the member ID, which is a string, and then the hand, which is a string, and then we'll just try to find a mesh. So if there's a mesh, let's just dispose of it. Mesh.dispose. Okay, so when do we use that? We'll use that when we remove avatar. So this remove avatar hand with the ID, and let this be left, and let this be right. So that should clean up after itself. And hopefully that works. Then we need to send the angular velocity if the item is throwable. So which one of these things is throwable? Let's say that the capsule is throwable. So let's go to the scene manager and go to where we're doing the capsule. Capsule, let's see, we don't need this visibility to be so transparent. It is interactable, but let's also say it's throwable. Now, when we go into, let's see, the grip manager, it's basic interactable. We need to send an impulse into this payload if the mesh should we just stash the tag somewhere? It seems like we need to know what tags we're dealing with. So instead of having them here, we'll just save them. So let's do this here. So we'll tap and set the intersected mesh, but also this intersected mesh tags equal, and we'll do this, copy and paste. This will return an array of strings, I believe. So let's go define this thing, intersected mesh tags. So then we don't need this. And then this is just the mesh again. And then we can just say this intersected mesh tags includes shootable, then we'll do something. But then in the basic interactable, we also need to check. And let's say this create payload. So we can say if this intersected mesh tags includes throwable, then we'll modify the event. So the event payload linear velocity and angular velocity is this imposter, so that should have some values there, and then when we let go, we will unset this here, and we'll also set this tags, intersected mesh tags, to be an empty array. So if it's throwable, we'll get some data. And so if you get something that's released and you get some angular velocity, we need to apply it on the other end. So I need to do some research, but first let's see if we're sending the message correctly. And we can do that by jumping into the headset and just recording some data. We want to see the entity released. So first of all, let's remove some of this extra stuff here. Too much console log. And also we don't need this test anymore. And we've been logging if entities released. So let me just check on my console.log and remove some of them so I can see better. I think we're probably fine. Jumping into the headset. Entering VR. Right, now I am going to open up my logs in here. I'm going to read this payload. Let me get a little bit closer. So I'm grabbing it. So released says it's cut off here, so I can't actually see data. But let me check inside logs here. Let's look for released. Can't tell. Try again. Grab this. Grab what? Grab. Does look like it's set. You see the linear velocity here, and there's the angular velocity. Angular velocity. And linear velocity here. So we can truncate that a little bit and try to apply an impulse on the other side. All right, we'll take a break here.